Test, test. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. We're all in our places with bright, shiny faces. Oh, this is the way to start a new day. Today, 12 noon, where will you be? At the virtual town hall in front of your laptop on Zoom. To find that link, the easy way is to go to abqcsl.org and click on the link. Join the town hall, which I believe is there. It will be. I'll make sure of it. Also in your newsletter, there was a link to it as well. So, Town Hall, noon. We're going to be discussing the future and voting on an opportunity that we have to sell a parcel of our parking lot. And so we would love you all to participate in that virtually on Zoom at 12 noon. In that newsletter that you all got and read on Thursday, Amani mentioned the larger purpose, and I'll quote it, the purpose of the global movement that we belong to as part of the Centers for Spiritual Living is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. You are part of that movement, and you are magnificent. And the main way that we do that here is through our pathway of transformation. And you'll see on the screen the three aspects of that. And right now you are participating in this celebration of Spirit in me through coming together and getting inspired, bringing Spirit within. Today we're going to celebrate the ways that we together experience Spirit as me. We're going to get into that really deeply today and celebrate all the ways that we do that together. And then finally, once we're all whipped up into an inspirational frenzy and we've learned all the ways to be love in action and our lives are transforming like crazy, we take that out into the larger community and help each other and Spirit through me. And next week, we're going to be exploring the ways that we've done that over the past year. So, Spirit as me, practice. Probably the two main forms of practice that we do here are prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation are the entry points into developing a personal and communal sense of practice. For me, I've recently reinvigorated a walking meditation practice, and that really connects me through nature. And I am often in Albuquerque struck by the amount of birds that are active in our trees, and birds are amazing teachers of love. My wife's last name is Crow, by the way, so I feel like I have some credentials in this area. So let's start today. Fred's here, ladies and gentlemen. Fred Morton. He'll be here all week, telling jokes. All right, so let's ground this exploration of practice in our core practice, which is affirmative prayer. And in honor of those birds, I'm going to begin my prayer with a quote from Rumi, and then take us a little bit deeper into prayer and meditation. Bird song. I am just as ecstatic as they, but with nothing to say. Please, universal soul, practice some song through me. And as I recognize the presence of that universal soul right here and right now, I feel the energy of Spirit moving through this space. And behind every mask, I feel that smile of Source. And I feel the joy that comes with that knowing that we are one, that we are expressions of that one. And I know that my life, through my practice, is a deeper expression of that Source. And my beautiful crow taught me that God loved you so much that it shot you through all eternity to be here, now, as the unique, beautiful, magnificent, individual expression of love that you are. So as I know that, and I've come to learn that to be true of myself, I see it mirrored back to me. And I recognize and realize that this is the basis of practice, of being together, and of being mirrors for each other in all the beautiful and different ways that we do that in this community. And for that I am grateful. And with that, I invite anybody who has that deep prayer on their hearts, that deep expression of either something to celebrate or something to let go and let God hold, to take a moment and head back to the altar and light a candle and leave your prayer there. If you're not able to do that, raise your hand and somebody can bring you a prayer card. If you'd rather fill out a prayer and have that put on the altar, we can do that for you as well. So just taking a moment to settle back into this space and allow yourself to feel the collective energy of all of the prayers that were offered into that space. And cultivate the practice of knowing the truth for each and every person here. That their prayer becomes your prayer. And your prayer is theirs. And so it is. So spirit as me, practice. Today is a day of celebration, and I want to just kind of take you through this little arc of where we have been and what we have been up to in cultivating practice together. And the first place I always look is to Amani Malaika and her stellar practice that never failed throughout this whole pandemic. We never missed a Sunday, whether it be virtually or in person, of delivering the practice of a weekly message. And I just really want to honor and recognize Amani for that diligence and for that practice. And so on this thing that we call the pathway, and feel free if pathway freaks you out to, it's just a continuum. It's just what does spiritual living, when we talk about, coming together and celebrating our magnificence, that's all we're really talking about, is how do we do that? How does it look and feel together in this community? So intentionally, and intentionality is a practice. We have these things called practitioners, of which I am one of those things. I would just like all the other practitioners to stand right now. And these are the people that have held this community in prayer and have participated in a multitude of different ways that I'm going to talk about. Thank you all. And later, these are the people that you'll have the opportunity to pray with after the service, if you'd like that, and they can begin to help you. So the next thing that we do with that message that Rev Amani provides every week is there's a team of practitioners that have developed a program called Spirit Calling. If you're not on Spirit Calling, I really highly recommend this is the next place for you to begin to develop your practice. On our website, there's a way to join, and in every newsletter, there's a way to join Spirit Calling. We just celebrated today our 625th consecutive Spirit Calling offering. 625 days. These people we have created a lesson and a practice and an affirmation of your wholeness, and I'm grateful for that effort. So you have this message every week through Reverend Amani, and then you have a way to take it into your day through Spirit Calling. And then seasonally we move deeper into classes and ways to be together in small groups to take everything that we're experiencing in our lives and learning together into those places. And so today I'd like to hear from, we're just also celebrating the conclusion of our fall series, which was just a beautiful exploration on all different levels. And spirit groups are set up to try to pique your interest on all these different ways. This time around we had visual arts, and we had writing, and we had 2 different book studies, one on furthering this wonderful discussion of how to change the paradigm around white supremacy and learn to become allies and learn to be deeper in that conversation. And I wanted to acknowledge Krista Keller and Lisa Crawley, who's not here. They've done this now for, I think, was this your 6th session, Krista? Or she's outside. I think it's her 5th or 6th time that she's pulled this group together. 4th time, sorry. Also, I'd like to recognize Reverend Rebecca Allen, who this time did 2 groups, one on Exploring the Divine Matrix, the book by Greg Braden, that really took people deeper into that understanding of our oneness on a quantum level. And she did an amazing group that I'm going to qualify for in a couple years of creative aging, which I probably already qualify for it. And I just haven't allowed myself to go down that pathway yet. But she's Reverend Rebecca Allen is my hero. And thank you. It's going to make me cry. And then Clarissa and Kelly led a group on that explored Reverend Amani's message in detail and brought it into your daily life. And that group was amazing. And I thank Clarissa and Kelly for that. And then Vicky Murata and I led the creative writing group, and that was just so beautiful. And Jan Nolan and Shannon Ellefson did the visual arts group. So anyway, thank you to all of the people that facilitated that. But as part of deepening our practice, really what I would like to do is to hear from some of the people and allow you to hear from some of the people about those experiences as we practice together. What does it mean? What does it mean in our real daily experience? So you know who you are, people. Just come up as you feel compelled and share what you got out of this session.
Good morning, everybody. You look so beautiful. Well, most of you. I was lucky enough to be a part of my mentor, Rebecca, Reverend Reb, in her, what's the hell's the name of it? Divine Matrix. Greg Braden's Divine Matrix. It was just so incredibly cool. We hear that there's science and then there's religion, right? Well, I believe that they are one and the same thing. They have to be. It's all one. And this book really talks about that, the quantum science of the divine matrix, which is God. Oh, we had so many wonderful discussions, and I'm old. I think I know it all. I think I've done it all. What a joke. And it really made me understand that I will never, ever stop learning. And I will keep signing up for spirit groups because there are so many learned and wonderful people here, and I really want to share the experience of growth with them. Okie doke. Thanks.
Good morning. So I had the pleasure of being in 2 spirit groups. I was also in Divine Matrix, which was divine and mind-blowing, and it really gives another depth to science of mind for me. So I love that one. And then I was in The Right of Writing with Jeff and Vicki, and that was great. So Vicki and Jeff did a great job of shepherding us through this, and Vicki was our writing teacher, and we explored different aspects of writing every week. We would hear about them, and then we would experiment, like writing a poem in 5 minutes, or maybe it was 10. And then we would share them with each other. And one of my results is I had gotten away from writing for a time, and now I'm back writing. So thank you, Vicki and Jeff.
I was with Clarissa and Kelly, and we were discussing, Monday night we discussed the services that we had the day before on Sunday. And it really was a very bonding group, because sometimes we shared what was actually the topic of the sermon. Sometimes we went off on sideways paths and discussed different topics altogether that are still related to church. And it really was a positive bonding experience for all of us to be able to discuss what was relevant to us and to each other. And so I appreciated that opportunity to get to know people. Thank you.
Hi, I was also with Carissa. It was it touches my heart, because you know what? I have not been in an open discussion like that. I got back into church, coming to church, and it's just being around Carissa, and it's just been blessing my heart, and the love that from all of you guys that, you say hi to me. It's like, wow, that's just touching, and I do want to get more involved in the church. And I'm so blessed that even with Dino, and for Amani, I'm sorry, I'm just shaking, but I just want to say thank you to everyone.
So I want to just thank everyone who participated and everyone who facilitated, and I want to make an invitation to everyone here for the winter session. So watch over the holidays. If you have an idea, you've heard some of these ideas that the directions that we're going, but if there's something that you would love to see here and would love to even help facilitate, see me, and I will help realize that dream. And I really think it's important for us to speak these words into this communal space of how all of this is transforming our lives. It's a key part of our mission. We talk about being love in action, and we take that into practice. And I often wonder, what's happening with this? Are we meeting our mission? And the feedback that I've gotten from Spirit Calling and from spirit groups and from our classes, Rev Amani, and I also wanted to thank Maddie Suarez for co-teaching spiritual economics with Rev Amani and helping people know the truth about their abundant magnificence. Thank you very much, Maddie. So, are you ready for another demonstration of practice? Reverend Amani Malaika.
Am I on? I'm on, now I'm on. And I shouldn't stand there. One of my favorite things that we do in this community is practice. I believe it's the whole why. I love to talk, so, the fact that you guys invite me to talk every week is like bonus. But really, the why of community and spiritual community is so that we can practice these principles. So that we can actually allow the rubber to meet the road and be the magnificence that we are as divine emanations of the One. And so for me, being able to hear from you all what your experiences have been like in your practice this year it's my, for me, it's like getting to the end of the rainbow. Knowing like, okay, it's working. What we do here matters. People are being transformed. People are taking these principles and living this stuff in their lives. That's the whole point. So thank you all for your participation. Thank you for sharing with one another what it is that has been meaningful to you in groups and classes and spirit calling. And thank you to every single person who has provided a word of comfort, a smile, a word of insight through spirit calling, and all the practitioners who do that every week. And for being together in this practice and recognizing that we get to rely upon each other for support in this walk. We get to inspire one another every time you share with each other, you know, I was in prayer this morning, or I was in my meditation and I got this aha. And then when you share that with another community member, they get the aha. When we are in deep struggle and dark moments in our lives, it is this community that we get to rely upon. And so I'm just wildly grateful that we are celebrating the Spirit as me step of our pathway today, because as Jeff shared with you, you know, the purpose statement of the Centers for Spiritual Living, which is the larger movement we belong to, is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. But why would we do that? Anybody? Why bother awakening to your spiritual magnificence? To what? Change the world, hallelujah. Why else? Because we can. Yes, I'm with you on that, Tanley. Why else? Novalie. Happiness. To transform ourselves.
Because it feels good.
Damn, it feels good. Yes. To be the radiant light of God that we are. Joanna. I'm just going yoo-hoo. Yoo-hoo, yes. You know, because I think it's important that we know why we're here. I think it's important to know that maybe I walked in today because I just need to feel better, which is entirely valid. But when we keep showing up, remind me of your first name? Annette. Annette. I remember when Annette first came. I remember the first day you came, and you sat back here and you didn't talk to a soul. I remember that day. And here you are, sharing your experience from a spirit group experience. For me, this is why we celebrate today. Because each one of us has the opportunity not to just come in and feel better, but that may be exactly where we need to start. But we each have an opportunity to intentionally walk a pathway of transformation. We each have an opportunity to consciously discover the magnificence that we are as a life of the One. That is what we are up to here. So this middle place of what I call our pathway of transformation, the Spirit as me place, this place where we come together in connection, this place where we come together in study, this place where we come together in developing our awareness and consciousness of the truth of who we are. It is the meat of what we do. It is the filling of the pie. It is the middle of the sandwich. It is, to my feeling, the most important part. Because when we make the choice to discover, to live into the magnificence that we are, everything that we would like to be different in our own lives and the life of this entire planet get to change. But it doesn't do it without us recognizing our own magnificence. None of those changes get to happen. None of that deepening, none of that expression, none of that transformation individually, collectively, the world that works for everyone, none of that gets to happen unless we discover who we are in it. So raise your hand if you've taken a class, been in a group, participate in spirit calling, whatever, and maybe things that you don't do that are part of this community that have contributed to your transformation this last year. Raise your hand. If I was the camera person right now, I'd be scanning the room. So for those of you online, every hand pretty much in the room is raised. And for those of you online, put it in the comments feed. If some practice that you've undertaken this year has provided you transformation, put it in the comments feed for us. Okay, taking the mask off. That's about all I can do. Why is it important that we take some time to celebrate that? Take some time to acknowledge that we do this labor. We get into the work of our own transformation and the work of the collective transformation on purpose, to awaken to our spiritual magnificence, individually and collectively. And it's work. Anybody felt like they did some work this year? Right? Yes, raise your hand, claim that. Yeah. Those of you online, have you worked this year at your own transformation? Have you been challenged? What? Has the whole human race made you go, WTF? What is happening? Which then makes us have to go deeper into our practice. I don't know about you, but my effort and the amount of work and the amount of time I have needed to put into my spiritual practice has grown tremendously this last year. Anybody else? And the reason that has been true for me is because it works. It allows me to show up in the world in the way that I want to, as a conscious emanation of the One. And so my practice starts out as a very selfish act, entirely for my own experience of aliveness. And when I allow myself to completely selfishly take the time and give the energy that I give to my practice, that I am fully responsible for my magnificence, this really natural result occurs. I get to participate in life itself as that magnificence, bringing my unique little piece of the puzzle to the whole. And that, my friends, is ours to do. The collective magnificence that we all want to see bring forward, the world that works for everyone, the justice and freedom and liberation for all, comes forward because you and you and you and you and you and you and you have discovered your magnificence and have said yes to living into what that means, have said yes to growing your understanding and your consciousness and your awareness of what that means. And that's worth celebrating. That's worth acknowledging and appreciating. And I want to share from the Science of Mind text. When we constructively praise and creatively bless, life abounds with love, peace, and joy. I love this so much. When we constructively praise, I've actually not heard those two words together before. And I was trying to wrap my brain around, like, what's constructive praise? Or what's, like, not constructive praise? Was actually the real question I pondered. And then I thought about that. You know what the not constructive praise is? It's that kind of praise where you're just faking it to be nice. Right? Oh, you look so nice today. Oh, it's so good to see you. Fake smile, fake smile, fake smile. Oh, really, how are you? But I don't really want to hear the answer. And when we non-constructively praise in prayer, when we pray those prayers, because it's like, I haven't prayed today. Yeah, there's one life, there's God's life. Yay, God. Those prayers at the dinner table, bless all the food so we can eat. Right? You know those prayers I'm talking about. The non-constructive prayers. Because they will construct nada. Right? There's no juice. There's no energy behind it. So they can't actually construct, put together, build, create anything. But the constructive praise is actually what I think is behind affirmative prayer. That kind of prayer that builds something. The kind of praise that appreciates and acknowledges the aliveness of spirit itself. I want to read you the definition of appreciation, which is a verb. Everybody following me on that? Appreciation is a verb. It's a thing you do. Appreciate is to recognize the full worth of. I want you to take a moment right now and go back to the effort and the labor you've put in this year. The practice you've put in to staying connected to your magnificence. The practice you've put in to allow yourself to stay grounded and centered in the truth of who you are. Go back to the labor. Go back to the moments where you did it anyways, when you really didn't feel like it. Where you showed up to the group, where you signed up for the class even though you were like, ugh. Where you shared your artwork from that creative arts spirit group online and let the world see what you made. Go back to that moment right now and recognize the full worth of that effort. I want you to take a moment and connect the dots of your practice and your transformation. So close your eyes, humor me. I invite you online, do the same. And I want you to connect the dots between some practice you've been engaged in this year and how it has grown you. How have you been expanded as a result of your practice this year? And for my online beloveds, I invite you to write that into the comments. Let us know how you've been grown by your efforts, by your practice. And for those of you in the room, I invite you to turn to a neighbor, someone you've come with, and if you're here by yourself, make sure you turn to somebody in this room and say out loud one of the ways you've been grown by your practice this year. Share that with somebody. All right, Allison, I guess you have to share with me. All right. All right, if you haven't already switched or had both partners share, make sure you do so now. All right, all my chatty patties, let's bring ourselves back from our conversation. And I just want to share one more thing on appreciation and the way we constructively praise is we recognize the full implication of. And when we share out loud and with another human in that appreciation and acknowledgement, it gives us that capacity to really recognize and hear ourselves say, like, I've been changed by this. I've become more of who I am by this. And what do we call that in affirmative prayer and spiritual mind treatment? Realization. Somebody's getting a gold star today. Realization. That third step of prayer. This is how we make it real, when we connect those dots, when we take the time to appreciate and acknowledge the practice. Science of Mind text went on to say, not only when we constructively praise, but when we creatively bless. I love this so much. Bringing those two words together, right? We talk a lot about blessings, we talk a lot about being a blessing. But what happens when we bring those two words together and we get creative about the blessing? Does anybody else get pumped about that? That pumps me so much. I'm like, what? We get to be creative in our blessings. That's very exciting to me. And then it got me thinking about, we're in this time of year, right, where we're in this Thanksgiving season. And we're talking a lot about, reading a lot about, getting ready to, be in this gratitude mode. Most of us are talking turkey, right? I see fist pumps. Yes. And then I got to thinking about all the ways different cultures celebrate. And those creative ways we get into the blessing. And when you think about it, think about all the different indigenous practices of celebration. Almost all of them include food. Think about your own heritage and the practices maybe that you've come from or continue in your life. They often include song, fellowship, which really means food. Dance, fire, or I would say ritual or ceremony, usually involved with that fire. Anybody else? Traditions, a repeating of a thing that has come from before. And the other piece that my favorite part is the costume. Every tradition, when they celebrate and honor, and every indigenous practice, every ancestral practice, they celebrate all the things, right? The turning of the seasons, which is what we find ourselves celebrating right now. The harvest of the crops, the births, the deaths. All those things get honored and celebrated, acknowledged and appreciated. It's part of who we are. And so when we creatively bless, I want you to think for a moment how you might creatively honor and bless yourself for the labor you've put in this last year, for the practice you keep coming back to. How might we take the lead of our ancestors, of this season we find ourselves in called Thanksgiving, and look to our own ancestral lineage and think about a way we could honor and celebrate ourselves and all we've done this past year, all the ways we've grown. This is your homework. This is your homework this week as we move into the Thanksgiving holidays. I want you to reach into your own ancestral lineage and history and find a way, a tradition, a practice, a celebration, a way that you can bring that into your own life and creatively bless yourself this year. No. So those of us with mixed heritage, we get to pick and choose. And lutefisk is not on the list. That is a no-go. However, I want you to also take it a step further. I want you to acknowledge and celebrate yourself. Make real the growth and transformation you have undergone already this year. And then I want you to get creative about being a blessing to life. How can you take this celebration and this honoring and this recognition and realization of the truth of who you are out into life itself, allowing yourself to creatively be a blessing? Yes? Yes. All right, let's anchor this in prayer. Y'all said yes, so it already is so. Let us take this deeper into prayer as we acknowledge the one, that holy, blessed one who is creativity itself, who is living itself, expressing itself so perfectly and beautifully and uniquely as every living piece of life on this planet, including me, including you. And as I acknowledge and appreciate and celebrate this truth, I know that we each lean into the truth of who we are a little more. I know that we each say yes to coming back to our practice because we've recognized how transformative it is. And we each say yes to not only celebrating, affirming, acknowledging, and appreciating the transformation in our own lives, the way that our practice blesses us. But we also say yes, a holy, sacred yes, to taking that blessing into being, into that next right, loving action. And this, my loves, is my deepest gratitude. My deepest gratitude for this absolute flow of God, this flow of goodness through me, through you, through life itself. God expressing as me, as you, can only be good. So I just let it be and anchor this with me by saying, so it is. All right, I'm going to bring Jeff back up.
So just a final thought on practice that I don't believe we bring up enough here, which I'm going to change right here and right now. I'm transforming right in front of you. You know, they say they have this quotient in psychology around life events, and they attribute when psychologists are doing their initial analysis with you, they're often prompting for what kind of life events you may have gone through, and they're kind of in their mind assigning points on a scale of, you know, how messed up you might be based on how many life events you've gone through at one time. And when I first came to this center, within a very compressed period of time, I checkboxed just about every category of life event that you could have gone through in a very compressed amount of time. My father had passed, and I had lost my job, and I had gotten divorced, and blah, 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 check. And I came here, and one thing I love about this place is we don't profess to be a substitute for mental health. I also saw a therapist, and my therapist helped me to get my head back on straight. But once that happened, what was left was spiritual for me, and it was like finding out who I truly was, because in the wake of all of that, I had really lost any orientation to my identity whatsoever. And I have taken every single class that this place has to offer, and I have grown this group practice that we're doing with spirit groups and helped to launch Spirit Calling and all of that. But I would take all of that, and it was all beneficial in my transformation, but nothing is a substitute for asking for help from a practitioner. Today is about practice. What's common between the word practice and practitioner? Do you hear any similarity there? I would not be here today if it was not for saying yes. And I was dragged kicking and screaming into that notion of opening myself to being willing to have a session with a practitioner. But I can guarantee you that is the still point and the fulcrum for transformation, is being willing to sit with somebody who knows practice and who can hold you in that space and allow you to find your truth for yourself. So again, I would like the practitioners to stand up. You can get a little taste of what I'm talking about, practitioner sessions where you really develop a relationship with one or more practitioners, and you work on those life issues, and you work on the things that are heavy on your heart, or you work on dynamic transformation. These are your folks. And they'll all tell you what they're good at and what they may not be good at. And if they're not the person for you, might refer you to somebody else. But this is the start point for transformation. It was for me. So thank you very much. All of this stuff that we're talking about is made possible through your generosity, through everyone's generosity. As I said last week, we don't have a Vatican. We don't receive funds from, some magical fairy resource. Everything we do is self-directed. In fact, we, through an expression of our oneness and our love, give back so that the parent organization can even exist in the first place. So I wanted to thank everyone. We're coming to the end of the year. Thank everyone who's given anything, time, talent, treasure, and I want to challenge you to explore that concept of what can you give so that we can do more of this transformation. We can generate more practices, and we have visions and hopes and dreams and plans that will blow your mind. We need resources to enable to do it. So the text to give number is 505-847. Let me start again. 505-847-8431. And that's an easy process. When you text the amount there, you get guided through this process, and you can easily text to give. Or you can go on the website, abqcsl.org, and there's a donate button there, which makes it very simple. Or you can fill out a giving envelope here and drop it in the basket if you're an old school check writer. We love that too. So thank you. I am absolutely blown away that we are standing here and still able to do it. I think the rate is more than 1 out of every 4 churches in this country are shuttering. It's crazy, and here we are. Thank you. Next week, so here's some announcements. Next week, we're going to be, as I mentioned earlier, celebrating transforming communities, that third step of our pathway, the third aspect of our mission, experiencing Spirit through you, utilizing everything that you know to bring change to the community. And we do that here through circles. You're going to hear a lot about that. And I love the concept of that circle. And so next week after service, we are going to create our own circular prayer wreaths. And we are going to give them out all throughout December. We're going to be driving them around to people within this community that are in need, along with care packages and gift cards. So when you consider your giving, consider throwing a little extra for supporting that effort, and stay after next Sunday. And I'm going to have tables all out here, and Dino and Jan and I have gotten a whole bunch of goodies together, both natural and artistic man-made materials that will help you to express your circle of oneness in the form of a wreath. And I'd love to have you help us do that. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's next week after this gathering. Also, golly, Miss Molly Faulkner and also Michaela Maestas have come to me and said that their houses are wide open on Thursday. If you're in need of a place to be to celebrate Thanksgiving, they would love to have you there. Thank you very much, Molly, for that. That's so beautiful. So you can see Molly and get her address. Michaela's not here today. Are you here, Michaela? And I just didn't see you? Yeah, I didn't think so. So you can find Michaela online on Facebook. Michaela Maestas, Maestas. Maestas. Michaela, which is also my daughter's name. That's how I know how to spell that. So, okay. So, Town Hall is at noon. In your newsletter email, there was definitely a link in there to get on that. But I want to make sure that everybody who wants to be there is there. So if you need the link to log on, I want you to see Krista Keller and make sure she has your email. I'm going to ask Clarissa to help with that as well. Just give your name and your email, and I will pop that link out to you right now. after we close this service. So just a housekeeping thing, we are going to try to transition so that we can get on to that town hall. So we won't be hanging around as much today as we usually do. So I would just appreciate if everybody can get themselves home and log on to that town hall meeting, because it's a really important moment in our center's history. So at noon. See, I'm glad you're here. Transformation right there. All right. And without further ado, I want to call up my poet laureate of the Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living and our prayer meister, Dino DeLeba.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Amani, so much. It's so lovely to be here with you all. Welcome to our guests and family. My mother used to feed the birds, and my dad and I thought she was a little crazy. And maybe she was, but when she passed away, it was interesting. I cared for her estate, and I would watch the birds come back. And it was almost as if they were coming back to say thank you. It was such a lovely thing for me to see. I think she didn't feed the birds because she expected something. I think she was feeding the birds because she had received something. And at Thanksgiving time, she was the last one to sit down, like many mothers. And this morning, as Amani was sharing, I realized that she was grateful for her family, and therefore she was serving them. If you will take a moment with me to close your eyes if you feel comfortable as we close the service out today with prayer. There is a precious space here today that has been granted us, that has been given us, that has been presented for us to be in gratitude for our very lives, for our precious lives, and for the lives of those we love, our family and our friends, and for those acquaintances along the way. In this time of Thanksgiving, let us remember the gifts that we have received, for those times that someone has expressed themselves to us in kindness. And let us be kind. Let us be grateful for our neighbors and for those people that we do not know in the parts of the world that are suffering. Let us be grateful that they are all part of who we are, and that in our prayer we can transform the world, that we know world peace. We know that everyone is fed, and everyone is warm, and everyone has a place. As we go out today, let us remember that God has provided us with hands and feet to do the work of Spirit, and that we are the divine, that we are the beloved, and so it is. Thank you for being here with us today.